Greatness is easy. I think people just make it hard. I really believe that. And what I mean is everybody knows what to do. Everybody knows, okay, if I do this, this, and this, I can be great at my thing, right? Like for basketball players, you know you're supposed to go to the gym and shoot 500 shots. You know you're supposed to lift weights. You know you're supposed to stretch. You know you're supposed to go play open gym. You know you're supposed to do every rep as hard as you can, right? Everybody knows that. Like, I don't think there's anybody that does not know that. Every coach says it. Every video you ever see about greatness says it. All the best players in the world say it. And so it's not a mystery. It's fairly easy. Like everybody knows, okay, focus on the basics and the fundamentals, right? But what makes it hard is who you are, right? And I think the first portion of that is just like love. I think a lot of people don't really love what they do. They don't truly love the thing. They want what comes with it, right? And I don't think that's bad. But when it comes to greatness, you have to love what you do in order to be great in that field, right? And greatness isn't always a result. It's more of like a daily action thing. But in order to do that, if you don't love it, it's not happening. It's just not happening. And so if it's something you love, that you claim to love, I don't understand why it's hard to do the basic things as hard as you can every single day. I don't understand why that's hard, right? If you love it. Right. And you could love something and then other things still get in the way. And I think those other things are like emotions and perspective. People have the wrong perspective and they're just scared, to be quite honest with you. Or they have low standards. Like I think those are the four things, right? And I'm going to break all those down. But, those are the four things that usually get in the way of greatness for most people. I think a lot of people can be great. A lot more people that can be great than, those who actually are. I really think there can be more greatness. And when it comes to emotions, I think a lot of people don't understand why their emotions are getting in the way or what's causing certain emotions. And I think you really got to look at it and understand like why. First, you got to be aware that your emotions are getting in the way. It's like, okay, I'm angry every time someone says this. Or if I think about this, I get sad, or someone says something to me the wrong way, it makes me feel a certain way. Like if you can't detach your emotions from, just the daily events that happen to you, they're just going to get in the way. Like I see it all the time and I help a lot of players with that type of stuff. And so I think that's the first thing is you have to start detaching from events that happen and from what people say and stop getting so emotional about it because it's not personal, right? Things that happen to you, you have to like change your perspective on that. That's really how you do it. That's like the second part of the things that I'm saying is like, you have to be able to reframe a situation. And so if someone's talking shit about you, right, you got to be able to say, okay, they're only doing that because they're mad that they're not good or they feel they had a bad day, you know what I'm saying, or whatever it is. They're not trying to attack, they're not trying to hurt you. Like they might be actually trying to, but deep down, that's not the reason that they're actually saying whatever it is, right? And so you got to be able to reframe every situation that's hurting you. So when a coach isn't playing you, you can just be like, okay, instead of being mad at them, you could really look at yourself and be like, okay, maybe I got to get better at dribbling, or I got to get tougher, or I got to get more athletic. Like you can take it in a different way and not just be, oh, coach ain't playing me, he's a hater, XYZ, or someone says that you're not that good because XYZ, oh, they're a hater. Like actually think about why you're not getting the results you want, or why you're not as good as you want to be, or why you're not playing, right? Like there might be something in there that you need to look at and address personally and stop blaming other people or being mad at what they say and things like that. So the perspective you have on the events that happen to you matters, and you need to reframe it in a way that's going to help you. Like everything can honestly help you if you reframe it that way, right? If something bad happens to you, be like, okay, this is to make me tougher. This is what happens, right? Like when people were hating on me when I was young, like I'll just be like, okay, that's just what people do. Like if you're good at something, you just get haters. Like I used to hear that all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like you hear that. People say like when you good, like people gonna start hating. So like I just knew that was just par for the course. So I didn't get mad at people for hating on me. I'm just like, nah, whatever. Right? And so you have to be able to reframe things, and that's gonna change your emotional reaction because you see it differently. Does that make sense? And I think the next part of it is like fear is fear of pain. Like fear of pain is by far the thing that stops so many people, because physically, like pushing yourself physically hurts. It just does. Like running until you're about to faint, which is something I did consistently. It's painful. It just is, right? And I have a high pain threshold, and so I could handle it But if you can't handle the pain that comes with, you know, when it comes to basketball specifically, like physical fitness or doing something every single day, like you're just not going to amount to anything. It's just not going to happen because lifting weights is painful. Running is painful, right? Getting hit and elbowed in the face. Like I've got elbowed in my face so many times. It's painful. Twisted my ankle, all types of stuff, right? But if you can't overcome that, or if you're scared of that, you're not going to take action. Like if you're scared to dive on the floor because you don't want to hurt your elbow, someone's going to pick up the ball and they're going to beat you, and then the coach is going to pick them over you because you're afraid to get hurt, right? Like not injured, but just you're afraid to get hurt. And even when it comes to injury, you can't be afraid to get injured. Like I've never been afraid to tear my ACL. I've never been afraid to break my arm diving on the ground. Like I've never been afraid of any of that kind of stuff. And I think that's why I've never had any like major injuries, is because I'm just not afraid of it, right? And I do the things that are necessary to not get hurt, the best that I can. You know what I'm saying? But if it happens, it happens. But I don't think you can go into situations like, oh, I'm afraid to get hurt, so I'm not going to play hard. It's like, okay, when are you going to play hard then? Like, I don't think there's no one that's all time great that's afraid of injury. It's just not a real thing, And so I think you got to get over the fear of that and the fear of just the pain of pushing your body physically. And you got to get over the pain of it might not work. Like you could do all this work and, if it don't work, your heart's going to be broken because like, damn, I didn't get to what I wanted to get to, or I didn't achieve this certain thing. You can't be afraid of that. Like it's the same with relationships. Like I'm not afraid to get my heart broke, like, or be in pain because I miss somebody or something like that. Like it's happened to me a lot and I'm still not afraid. I will still go and enter another relationship if I want to. I will still go and make connections with people. I will still go form partnerships. And if it breaks apart like it has in the past, I have to feel pain, like, okay, I can deal with the pain. I know how it feels. I know how to get over it. You know what I'm saying? And so it's not going to make me afraid to experience that again. And I think that's something that stops a lot of people from, just going after and really, really going 100% because they're afraid of what's going to happen, or what if it don't work, or what if it's a waste of time, or what if I get hurt, or, it's just painful to do all these things. Like I can't take the pain. Like you're not meant to be great if that's how you think. You know what I'm saying? And then I think the last part, like that I addressed earlier, is just like the standards, bro. People have such low standards, to be honest with you. And I think the thing about it is like people are happy just being okay. Like people are happy when it's like they score 5 points in the game and then there's like, oh, I did this well. And it's like, that's not what we're trying to do. Like I have students like that where, I have conversations all the time, or I just talk to people, overseas or in different countries. And I'm like, bro, you got to raise the standard in what you're doing. Like, yeah, okay, you're seeing results, like great. Or you've been doing it a little bit, like it's not good enough. Doing a little bit's not good enough. It's like, oh, well, it's kind of working. Like that, you're trying to justify not doing enough. That's really what's happening. You're trying to justify not doing enough, and you're trying to justify, why what you're doing should work. When the standard's not high enough, bro. There's no good enough. You have to do the maximum every single day, or it's not enough. That's the highest standard. Every time you have to do it right. Every time you got to do it perfect, or it's not good enough. And people justify, oh, well, like I've talked to somebody about applying for jobs. I said, how many jobs do you apply for? Oh, well, I put in a resume today and I put 2 in yesterday. Like, bro, I can get on the internet right now and apply for 50 jobs in a row. So you see the difference in standard? I asked a group of kids one time, like, okay, when you go to the gym, what's your number? Like, what number do you go to when you're trying to make, I said, who has a number that they go to? Nobody raised their hand. And I'm like, y'all telling me you want to be professionals and you don't go in the gym and say, okay, I'm going to make 400. I'm going to make 600. I'm going to make whatever it is. And one kid did raise their hand and they were like, okay, yeah, I'll do 150. I can't remember what the number was, but I was like, that's a warm up. Like that's, CJ McCollum was on a podcast and was like, yo, I do 100 shots isn't a workout, right? That's just to get loose. And that's real. That's why he's a professional. That's why he's one of the best players in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? And so I think the standard that you have for yourself, like, is so important. And the best way to change all of these things is you have to change your environment. Like, you have to change who influences you. Like, that's how you gain the mindset, right? It's who do you look up to? Like, who are you hanging around? Like, who's your coaches? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are your parents? Like that? Like, that's really what's going to influence you. And so if you want to be influenced in the right direction, then you need to start listening to greatness every day. That's the only reason I operate the way I do. Is like, I didn't know there was anything else because I'm watching Kobe interviews, I'm watching MJ interviews, I'm watching like the best players in the world, I'm watching like Tiger Woods and like all these people just randomly for no reason, right? But because I like what they do. But they all say the same things, bro. There's no difference in any of these people that are great. They all have the highest standard possible, and they always think they can be the best. And it's just, if that's all you listen to, right, every day, then eventually that's going to influence you. So when you look at your peers, like, you're like, damn, that you're okay with just doing that. You're okay with messing around or not finishing your set. Or this is how I would look at people, right? And it's not to say I'm like the greatest person in the world, but I had a high standard. I worked my fucking ass off, and I'm watching people literally not finish their set or not run hard or jog or not work out or not get shots up. And I'm just like, what is your standard? Like, you know what I'm saying? But it's because I decided to change who my peers actually were. So my peers are people that are great. I just haven't reached their status yet. But right now I feel the same way they do. And so that's the first part of it, is like when you make that change, is like you have to feel like you're already great or destined for that, and then you'll do the actions. That's really what it's going to come from. The thing I forgot to mention is, once you do all of these things that I said in the video, you'll be able to be yourself freely. Greatness is about being yourself. That's really what it is, right? And if you're afraid to be yourself, then it's because you have not gone through the process that I laid out of changing your perspective, understanding your emotions, changing who your peers are, like doing all these things. So then you can become you. Once you're you, like who you are meant to be, then greatness will be super easy. That's why it's easy. It's hard because you're not being you, right? And I always say, like, why would you be you if that's not who you're supposed to be?